So over the past couple of weeks or so, we've been covering Sameko Saba and her hiatus and essentially everything that's been going on with this. Now, of course, as you guys remember, Saba actually did put up a post explaining exactly what was going on with her and why she's been on a hiatus, which has, kind of turned people's opinions on exactly what has been going on, because essentially she's been on hiatus for a while. She didn't really talk about it. And, a lot of people with memberships were getting a little bit mad, and she was facing a little bit of backlash from people over that. But I do think at the end of the day, there was clearly something that was going on, which she further clarified in a members only post where she said that she's got a chronic condition and that she's, kind of struggling the most hardest right now with this kind of stuff, and that she is unable to make content because of that. And I think that's fair enough, right? I think that is a very valid reason as to why you cannot make content or anything like that. And I think that people are still getting mad at her now are just stupid now that they know the reason. And I think a lot of people did change their stance on the whole Sameko Saba situation over that, because again, people were just being very unkind, very rude, and when you could have just kind of ended your membership. And she essentially said that she would be pausing memberships, and even some people, including myself, got actually refunded for the last membership that we took out. I think if you became a member or you recently paid your membership, in a couple days before it was paused, I think you ended up getting a refund for that, which again is really, really good. And again, that was all sorted. She did say that she was going to make a Twitter post, but again, there hasn't been one. It's been a couple weeks or so now, and there hasn't been a post, so I guess that's not happening. Maybe it's just because it got out anyways and people kind of understood just from that one post that she decided not to. But again, people have obviously been discussing this pretty heavily, but one thing that people have been trying to take advantage of with this hiatus, which we talked about quite a bit on this channel, is people pretending to be Saba. And this is still an issue to this day. We've talked about this for months and months and months, and this is still an issue. And I was only reminded of this because I was scrolling through TikTok last night, just on my phone, on my actual account, right? And Saba appeared, and I was like, oh, that's weird, because sometimes on TikTok, if you ever scroll, you have like the videos, right? And then sometimes you get the occasional live, you get the occasional person who is live streaming to kind of boost them or whatever. And this person was Sameko Saba, and it was this account which we have talked about before, who isn't the real Sameko Saba. This is someone pretending to be Sameko Saba, and obviously it's kind of hard to tell because of how professional it looks, right? It says Sameko Saba. The username is sameko.saba. It's got a link. It's got a link to her YouTube, which I'm pretty sure it does just go to her YouTube, and it has her official profile picture. They also put up the trailers from whenever she did those, and I think they actually uploaded those at the same time. And now what they've been doing is going live on this account and getting gifts and all of this kind of stuff, which of course it is not her. It is going to somebody completely different. And a lot of people are concerned about this because lots of people are very prone to this kind of trick, right? Lots of people are seeing, oh, Saba's live. I thought she was on hiatus. Let's go check out her stream. Oh, that's great. She's live. I'm going to go give her a gift on TikTok, right? When in actual fact, they are just playing back her VODs. And, some people might be able to tell, some people might not be able to tell. But as we looked at in the last video, there was many people concerningly in the comments that genuinely thought it was her, right? And thought that she was genuinely live streaming to TikTok at that time live, and this wasn't a VOD, and that she was interacting with the chat and everything like that, which obviously was not the case. It was just playing back an old VOD of her playing some game or whatever, and people were going, oh, hey Saba, how you doing? Oh, let me just send you a gift, all of this kind of stuff. And it, it's become a really big problem. And, usually whenever it is one of these things where I wouldn't mind it so much if it was just like them streaming VODs or whatever. They're trying to be putting out our content out there. But, and obviously sometimes with the gifts, I don't know if it's something that you can turn off on TikTok, but maybe they're just accepting them anyways, because why not? But then obviously it goes on to things like this, for example, which I got sent a while ago. And we did look at this, a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, sorry. And essentially, yeah, it says this fake Sameko Saba account on TikTok is making us pay to watch the real Sameko Saba stream. So, it's one thing accepting gifts and going live to public people and whatever for people to watch and just replaying their VODs. But it's another thing to be, telling people that they need to pay to get involved in this live event. of them playing games. You see here it says $2 USD, you get to watch this. And it says one viewer is watching, so one person has paid for that. And what they're essentially paying for is a VOD that you can get for completely free on YouTube, right? On YouTube, you can get this completely free. You don't need to pay. You don't need to do anything. And again, you know, it's totally all there. Now, again, there are membership only VODs as well, which of course, I don't think you can access anymore now that they are paused. But again, even then, you know, this isn't going to the same Saba. This is going to somebody completely random that is, you know, holding this account, and it is still up. The account is still up, which I think is absolutely crazy. And of course, it continues to grow as well, which is even more concerning because it's got 31,000 followers. That's more followers than me on YouTube right now, right? Again, I do have more followers on other platforms and things like that. But, you know, over on YouTube on this particular channel, that's more followers than me. Which is crazy. That's how many people are subscribed to this fake Sameko Saba thinking it's real, and how many people could potentially be gifting to this fake account, which I think is obviously pretty concerning in the sense of, you know, they're making people pay for live streams and, you know, accepting gifts when, you know, they fully well know that they aren't the real Sameko Saba. They are just playing her clips. They're just playing her VODs. They're just playing her content, her copyrighted content. You know, she could easily take this down. And again, I think it is one of these things where she is struggling with all of this chronic stuff where she can't, you know, take a look at this, right? She's obviously, you know, kind of got her own issues and struggles at the moment where she, you know, cannot have the kind of physical capacity to go and look through all of this kind of stuff and take it down herself, or, you know, whatever, or even like find it and pass it onto her team, because she's just kind of away from the internet right now, you know, at least from what it seems like. So again, she's even unaware of this is happening while this person is exploiting her content and using it to get, you know, to get money, which I think is crazy, you know, because again, as I said, she can't do anything about it really because obviously she's struggling with some stuff on her own, which again, I think is absolutely insane. So of course, you know, I'll keep an eye on this account going forwards. I do think it is very concerning still, though, that it's still up to this day and that it's managed to gain a large amount of followers, because the more followers it gains, the more legitimate it looks like to people, right? You know, it could be pretty understandable that an account for Sameko Saba on TikTok would have 31,000 followers, right? Although she has, what, how many followers? Like 1.4 million followers over on YouTube. It's understandable that maybe not all of the audience went over to TikTok and that she only has 31,000, and that's still a pretty large amount anyways. But, you know, that's the thing, it's not her. So again, the more followers they gain, the more legitimate they look, the more that they can get away with kind of getting money out of people. And again, it just becomes it's a really concerning thing for many people that are unaware and that are probably very, hopeful and very, susceptible to this kind of, tricky scam, I guess. That's what you call it, right? It is essentially a scam, I would say, because, you know, this is content that is completely free. This isn't Saba. This is just content that you can go and watch on a YouTube channel right now. So again, don't pay for these streams if you have been. You can go and watch this, and you can choose which one you want to watch as well. You know, imagine that. You know, you don't have to go on a TikTok live stream where the person here chooses which stream to watch. You can go, oh, hey, I love Peak. Let's go watch the Peak live stream. Or I love Hightail. Let's go watch the Hightail live stream. You know, you can choose and pick and choose and do whatever you want. You can skip through it as well. Like, there's a bit that gets a little bit boring. You know, you can just kind of skip through it and go to the good part, right? You don't need to be paying for a random, you know, TikTok event, which again, I just think is absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.